sometimes you just need to touch grass. Ah, the masculine urge to put on a bomber jacket, smoke a cigarette, and drive down the neon streets of LA. Seriously, ask any man what he'd rather be doing right now, 9 times out of 10 he'd say that. And if he tells you otherwise, he's fucking lying. If given the chance, 90% of the time we'd be driving down the road in himbo mode. The other 10% would be spent playing video games or taking a shit. And if you're really good, you can multitask. And I'm not even talking about that. Sometimes the game you pick up at a garage sale for $5.99 turns out to be a piece of shit. Who would have thought? Hey, it's Vegas, and welcome back to another episode of Games I Played Recently. Today we're covering the games that I played from September to November, because God knows I can't do anything on time. I kicked my September off with a pretty big title that came out not too long ago, that being Gran Turismo 7. And by the intro of this video, you can absolutely guess how I felt about it. Now, I was lent a copy of Gran Turismo 5 from a friend. I promise I'll give it back, he just hasn't asked yet. That was the first real driving simulator I played, and I immediately fell in love. And that's coming from a guy that doesn't really like cars that much. Don't get me wrong, I know my way around the old jalopy, okay? I know the difference between a Lamborghini and a Ferrari. Is this a car? I remember being fascinated by all the different car requirements in order to compete in a race. Sometimes you needed a Japanese street car, or an American muscle car, or a fucking Yaris. If there's one thing Gran Turismo has going for it, it's the faithful representation of any iconic make or model of a car made by its specific manufacturer. And if a game from 2014 has this many cars and brands in it, just imagine how many cars can fit in a game optimized for the PS5. Can you tell we live in a capitalist society? Like I said, I hadn't played a GT game since 5 on the PS3, so it was nice to pick up the newest one and roleplay as one of these guys. I don't know about you, but at least for me, Gran Turismo 7 felt super polished, dude. Being given fun facts about a car after you collect it, editing its paint job and livery in the car editor, being able to take photorealistic snapshots of it after you're done, all while being underscored by jazz so goddamn smooth, it's criminal. But where this game really shines is its racing. Who would have thought the racing game has good racing? Knowing just how to manage the gas pedal for maximum efficiency when going into a turn. When to slip in and out of the draft to get ahead of someone. It's so elegant and masterful, I'd just be driving with my fucking pinky out. When you start out the game, it lets you choose the first car you want to add to your collection. I for one chose the Honda Fit and it showed up at my doorstep the next day. This game is awesome. However, it's a double-edged sword because with everything that's in the game, it makes it that much more labor-intensive on your console. I was playing this on a first-gen PS4 and I continuously suffered from the frame rate issues and painfully long loading times. It gets genuinely frustrating after a while having to maneuver through tons of menus just to select one race you wanted to play. And God forbid you pick the wrong one because I kid you not, you're gonna spend the next minute and a half looking at this fucking screen. Playing Gran Turismo 7 is like eating a piece of cheesecake. The first few bites are good, but then you start to slow down because it just becomes too much after a while. It's crazy to think how far we've come graphically with only one game between a flattering imitation and photorealism. And I don't even want to know how Gran Turismo 2 looked on a PS1. And, wait a minute, holy shit.
Before I rock raps, I drink a keg of Listerine. Then I spit the freshest lines never heard for centuries. Then I form blazing sword and cut your mic cords. And kill them garbage rhymes only your friends get hyped for. Blitz your whole team, them niggas need to come clean. So I give them an acid wash like old school Levi jeans. Cracking the faulty frame and I bring the house down without hijacking planes. Lock, stock, with two smoking barrels and real music. The fuck up on beats 1 minute, the drum and bass music. Trumpets ain't a night music.
Okay, look, I don't care if I'm at risk of sounding a little bit cringe here, but this game is a certified hood classic, and it came out in 2014. You know what else came out in 2014? Ebola. Do you know what that means? I've enjoyed 2 masterpieces of a single-player video game while the world was on fire around me. That's too much guilt for one man to handle. But like Middle-earth, trademark, Shadow of Mordor, trademark, Game of the Year edition, is probably the best example of a next-generation video game to ever come out. Bar none. When this game came out, it was one of the first video games to be released on the PS4 and Xbox One, and they made sure you knew that shit. Next generation graphics, innovative mechanics, really dangled the Nemesis system over our heads like a fucking cat.
You may have heard of one like me. It prances, dances, and sings with glee.
And it worked. The promise of an enemy forcing their way back into the story if you didn't kill them correctly, like a reoccurring villain from an anime, made Baby Vegas shit himself. But that's not even all this game had going for it. The gameplay is just so entertaining. Think like free roam Arkham Asylum, but with a sword. You play as Talion, a ranger whose family was murdered by the Black Hand of Sauron. Possessed by the spirit of Celebrimbor, you must work your way up the orc hierarchy in order to exact your revenge. at least you try. Like, it's really hard not to just go around and commit orc genocide. Seeing what bodyguards you have to slay in order to weaken the war chief, brainwashing him into doing your bidding while slowly turning Sauron's army against him. Why do Assassin's Creed clones do it better than Assassin's Creed itself? No wonder why I had the urge to play this game again. I've had this shit as my sleep paralysis demon for the past 5 months. I'm not even kidding, I picked up Origins for the last games I played video and I couldn't even bring myself to play it. And I don't even think I have a reason why. I mean, the gameplay is right up my alley, focusing on free roam, loot, and combat, so that's not the reason. The story takes place in a unique period of history, and the main character Bayek is cool enough, so what's the reason? Well, you see, back in 500 AD, during the Mesopotamian era, King Tut began his search for the elusive golden Hatsune statue, but there was only one in existence, and when we multiply that number by 6, which is the number of Assassin's Creed to have come out before this point, also the number. Somebody later proved to be his down.
Hey, thanks for having me, Vegas. It's an honor. I'm really excited to spit my nonsense on a channel that isn't mine for once. Saints Row 5, or I guess just Saints Row again, because why not follow that trend? It hasn't been done to death or anything. Saints Row is the prime example of how far the open world crime genre has fallen. This game feels like one of those iPhone GTA ripoffs. It's unapologetically bad and falls into the ever-growing subgenre of lazy open world titles. I'm tired of it, so instead of torturing myself by playing Saints Row this month, I decided to return to some classics. I'm talking Saints Row 3, Saints Row 2, Max Payne, GTA San Andreas, Sleeping Dogs, and Fallout New Vegas and other shit like that. I played a little bit of these games in the past, but I never actually finished them, so I decided to replay them throughout the month of September. This has been mostly a good idea as I've had a lot of fun doing this, and I've even come to appreciate these games a lot more than I used to. But I must say, my god, these old games can be fucking difficult. Failing a mission in GTA San Andreas is just the worst feeling ever. Your homies just walk away and leave you stranded to go on a journey of self-discovery I can only imagine. And you're just left there in the middle of nowhere, just you and that mission failed text. Then you have to drive all the way back to where the mission starts, and then you gotta do it all over again. And you gotta watch as your friend misses and misses like they're a goddamn stormtrooper, and then you fail the mission again and again and again. And all you had to do was follow the damn train, CJ. Anyway, what the fuck was I talking about? Point is, these old games can be frustrating as shit. Max Payne is one of my favorite games of all time, but god fucking damn, it made me angry. Grenades in Max Payne are like goddamn nukes. Sorry, let me rephrase that. When an enemy uses a grenade, it explodes with the force of a fucking atomic bomb. When you throw a grenade in Max Payne, it has the effect of one of those tiny poppers that children use on the 4th of July. When an enemy uses a machine gun, it becomes a miniature turret. When you use a machine gun, it tickles them. Point is, a lot of shit isn't in your favor. In this game, you have to die over and over and over again and memorize enemy specific spawn locations so they don't jump out of nowhere and blast you. I played this game on my PS4, which means there is no quick save feature. That means I had to rely on the game's checkpoint system, or rather, lack thereof. If you die in this game, the amount of progress you'll lose is just criminal. And you die very, very easily, which makes this game become a trial and error type of experience. I don't want to say it, I can't fucking say it, screw it. Max Payne is like Dark Souls with guns. I'm sorry, I just can't help it. I always have to bring up Dark Souls. Do you like kung fu movies? Do you like watching Jackie Chan give his entire stunt team brain damage? Well, look no further than Sleeping Dogs. Do you want to fight large groups of dudes like in the movies? Well, you can. Do you want to throw dudes into various things? Well, you can do that as well. Throw them into dumpsters, air vents, meat grinders, fish tanks, fish heads, counters, ledges. Point is, the game provides endless fun for hours. I honestly believe it's one of the best open world games of its time. It's seriously worth checking out even in 2022. Saints Row 3 is like the best multiplayer experience of all time. Hop in that shit co-op and you'll have a legendary experience. And Saints Row 2 is just like peak fun. I don't know what else to say about this game. It's just fun. But to the dude who sold me a copy of it on eBay that crashes every hour on the hour, I will see you in hell. And GTA San Andreas has been so wonderful to revisit. It's easily one of the greatest open world games ever made. The story is engaging from beginning to end. The characters are some of the best in the franchise. The world is absolutely beautiful to this day, and it's still a damn blast to explore. Speeding through the crowded streets blasting Joey Badass has become my life for the last month now. And the cheat codes. The cheat codes are so fun, don't even get me started. You can get a jetpack, like what? And now everyone's fighting, shit's going crazy.
Which then became what you know today. So as you can see, the reason why I didn't want to play Assassin's Creed Origins is... And then you have the month of October. I didn't really have the time to play a lot of games this month, because, you know, I was doing spooky shit, being a little ghoul, a little goblin. Goblin D's nut. Of course, this is when I played Medieval. There's not really a lot that I can say about Medieval that hasn't already been said in my last video. It just fits with my Halloween vibes so well that I feel like I have to play it every year now. And then I played this little indie game called Rollerdrome. It's like, the best way I can describe this game is Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, but with fucking guns. You just like skate around, doing flips and tricks and shooting people in the face. It's kind of fun. And then I rounded out my October with The Last of Us. And I wasn't even thinking about replaying the original game, and then the trailer for the TV show came out, and I was like, alright. I remember playing this game on my PS3 back in like middle school, and after I beat it, it left me broken for the rest of 6th grade. If you haven't played it, chances are you've heard of it. A technical marvel in motion capture with compelling high-stakes gameplay and visual spectacle, as well as a perfectly written, thoughtful story about fatherhood and grief. Made by a company who also made this. Like I said, I played this game for the first time back in middle school, and I hadn't played it since, so going back and re-experiencing the story that gripped me by the balls was definitely a decision I regret. I forgot just how depressing the world Naughty Dog built for this game is. Every other scenario you find yourself in as Joel further drills into your fungus brain just how far gone humanity is. How they're not worth saving, how they can be worse than even the bloodthirsty infected. Even with a walking cure by your side, the story of The Last of Us is a lesson in morality. Can a man with this much blood on his hands truly be redeemed by finally choosing to save a life instead of taking it? Especially since his actions were done for a selfish reason. Anyway, what backpack do you think looks good on Ellie?
Never walked in the woods. It's kind of cool.
This game looks pretty good for one that came out in 2013. Abandoned city skyscrapers, midwestern ghost towns, overgrown city streets and highways, it's so atmospheric. A perfect spooky game for the spooky season. Gameplay revolves around making your way through a level either the loud way or the stealthy way. Obviously, the stealthy way is the better option with ammo and resources being scarce throughout the game, but being able to craft a viable melee weapon is always a must since you're likely to get caught anyway. The gameplay feels a bit like you're doing the same thing over and over again with either humans or zombies as the enemies, and that's really my only problem with the game. I wish the levels were less linear. I want to be exploring an old steel factory, and because I forgot to check my surroundings, I get ambushed by a horde of runners, and oh shit, that clicker is getting too close, oh fuck!